Hi, I'm Andrew Murray. Welcome to 13. Join me inside when we discover 13 of the world's greatest, easy to do card tricks. The card under tablecloth is one of the strongest effects in Magic. It's one of the strongest effects on this DVD. Try this out and you will see people's jaws drop open in amazement. Deck of cards. I'm going to flick through the cards. Anytime you like, just say stop for me.
Stop.
Here?
Yes.
Can you see the card? And you have the card? Very slowly, very fairly, watch. What I do is I take the cards and I push. And when I push, you'll notice one card comes to the top of the deck, the 6 of... It's not your card.
No.
No, you see, if we look through the deck, we can see, in fact, every single card. And if we were counting as we look through, you'd realise there's only 51 cards. Just 51 cards, no sign of your card at all.
No.
No, it's really gone. Because you remember we pushed.
Yes.
But we pushed too hard. You see, if we just wet the tablecloth ever so slightly, that allows us just to break through the tablecloth, just to tear it, just like so. And if we tear the tablecloth, you'll see all the way underneath is in fact just one card, exactly your 3. Hopefully, the card you chose. This is the explanation for card under tablecloth. Matt Schulian has a brilliant version of this, but this is a much simpler version than actually loading the card under the tablecloth live in performance. What it requires is a duplicate card and a very simple gimmick. Before I perform, I load a duplicate to my force card under a tablecloth. Now, for explanation purposes, the 3 of hearts will be my force card, and if you imagine the close-up mat is actually the tablecloth. So that's loaded into position under the tablecloth, and if I get to a function or I'm performing this in my house, I go into the hall or into my dining room and I load it way in advance. And I just remember where it is by maybe putting a salt or pepper shaker on there, so it's very easy for me to find. I don't really have to think about it too much. Now, the actual gimmick that this uses is very, very simple to make. It's actually a 2-card gimmick. And you can see the front card, it can be any card, in this case I've used the 4 of spades, and glued to this behind is a duplicate of the force card, the 3 of hearts. Now what I've actually used is a 3M product called Spray Mount. Now this is repositional spray glue, and what I've done on the 4 of spades, so imagine this was the 4, I've sprayed just the bottom section here with the 3M glue, the Spray Mount. That's readily available from any good stationers, and I've allowed that to dry for about a minute. And what I've done once that's dried is I've just cut almost like a half moon, it's not even as big as a half moon, just from the front edge of that card. Now you will see that very carefully, very closely here. You can see just that. That's what we call a scalloped short card. Okay. Now I've taken the duplicate 3 and I've laid that into position so it's all squared up, and the only part of it that's actually glued is the bottom third to the 4 in front. Now the reason I have the scalloped short card is I place that into my deck about a quarter of the way down, and what that allows me to do is to force that card very cleanly, very fairly. And all I need to do, you can do this either with your thumb or with one of your fingers. I prefer to use my second finger. I hold the deck like this, I angle it towards the spectators, and I ask them to call stop. Now there is a little bit of timing involved with this. It's not a difficult technique. You can try this out. By the time you give the instruction, you're already more than halfway through the deck. So what I do is I ask them just to call stop, and as I riffle up, I'm naturally going to break, and you can probably hear that now. You won't hear that in performance, but you can hear it for explanation purposes. The scallop card has gone down, flush with the rest of the cards, and now I can show the 3 of hearts very cleanly and ask somebody to remember that card. Okay, so just in real speed, I say I'm going to flick through the cards. Anytime you like, just say stop for me. They do. I ask them to look at the card. I then riffle off allow them to see the card, and I turn the card face up and I put it down approximately into position where the card is loaded under the tablecloth. I then say, I'm going to show you something you'll never forget. Take my right hand, place it on the card, place my left hand on top and push. And I say, you know what that's done? That's moved your card from its position in the deck. It's put it all the way to the top. I pull out the top card, in this case the 6 of spades, and it's almost like I read their face, their reaction. I say, I'm sensing it's probably not your card. In fact, I'm going to show you something you'll never forget. I can now ribbon spread the cards out and make the suggestion that if they were to count the cards, they'd realise there were now only 51 cards. Now I can thumb through or finger through the cards one by one, very cleanly show the face of every single card, and their card will have vanished from the deck. Now the reason it would have vanished is because as I laid the cards down, I turned them end for end, and they never see the 3 of hearts, which is now glued and hidden behind the 4 here. Okay, so the scalloped edge is towards me now. So as I thumb through the cards, I can really go through very cleanly, very fairly, very quickly, and their card has, for all intents and purposes, genuinely vanished. And this is an amazing moment of astonishment for them. I say, I know what happened. I gather the cards up and I move them aside. Now what I usually do is if I'm working and there's a paper tablecloth, I'll take a glass of water and I'll just wet the tablecloth, which makes it easier to tear through the paper. So I'll wet the tablecloth and I'll just start to tear. Obviously we can't do it here, and as I tear, they see something beneath the tablecloth, and as I pull it out, it's an amazing reaction that you get every single time when they realise it's their card, their 3 of hearts, which they've seen before, which actually comes from beneath the tablecloth. Now one thing I will say is when you do this, do put the card face up, so that as soon as you do it, it's in continuity with the rest of the deck, okay? Because you're putting the deck face up, you're pushing. When you reveal the card, you want it to be face up. Another nice tip for this is you can actually put your own signature or just somebody else's name, but you write it on the face of the card that you load under the tablecloth and on the face of the force card. That means when they see the card, they might see the name Lisa on it. When it vanishes and then subsequently reappears from underneath the tablecloth, for them, it's exactly the same card because it was a previously signed card. Not by them, but the association is there, so it makes it even stronger. One other tip that I will give is that I usually do tear the tablecloth because I think the ripping of the tablecloth makes this, auditory, very orderly, very strong, is very visual, and it's just something very dramatic. If you are working somewhere where you have a cloth, what you can do, something that you can't tear, obviously cut through or destroy, if it's white, and white usually works best for this, and then a lot of restaurants use white cloths, you can actually just get the glass of water, pour it on the tablecloth, which actually makes the cloth transparent, so that you can actually see the image of the card through the cloth. Okay, and it's like a really ghostly image, and of course they have to sneak under and pull it out and reveal it themselves. That's the card under tablecloth, a fantastically strong effect, one that I urge you to use, try out, and amaze everyone that you know. Under My Spell is a very practical, easy to do routine. You can use a borrowed deck of cards and you can apply many different presentations. Check out the live performance. Would you reach in and remove a card, please?
Yes.
Have a look at it and show it to the camera. As I run through the cards, anytime you like, say stop.
Stop.
Place a card back. The rest of the cards go on top. Now, I'm going to try to find your card in a magical way. Just concentrate on your card, please. Your card was a black card.
Yes.
But not a spade. Not a spade.
No.
If I need to find a card, would you just hold your hands out for me? Say the Ace of Hearts. I could spell A-C-E-O-F-H-E-A-R-T-S. I end up with the Ace of Hearts. But you chose a card as well. Which card did you choose?
Jack di Fiori.
The Jack of Clubs.
Yes.
But if we spell J-A-C-K-O-F-C-L-U-B-S, we end up with your Jack of Clubs.
Yeah. Jack di Fiori, yeah.
Under My Spell can be done with a shuffled deck. You ask a spectator to give the cards a shuffle. When they do, you take them back and you glimpse the bottom card, because this effect relies on a key card. Now in this instance, the Jack of Diamonds is my key card. Now a very easy way to glimpse the bottom card is just to take the deck back and pick it up in your right hand, and as you make a gesture, casually glance down and have a look at it. Another technique is just a squaring technique, so you can dribble the cards from hand to hand, and as you square the cards, you're tilting them up into this position momentarily, which allows me to look down at the Jack of Diamonds. If I turn here, you'll be able to see my line of view. I can see the Jack of Diamonds clearly as I square the cards up. So all I need to do is have a look at the bottom card, then I can have a card selected very fairly. A card is selected from the deck. For explanation purposes, the card selected is the Two of Hearts. The Two of Hearts is placed back in the deck, but we're going to use the Hindu shuffle to ensure that it goes right beneath the Jack of Diamonds, which is our key card. So I'm going to pull cards off from the top. I ask the spectator to say stop wherever they like. I'm going to try to guide them so they stop me near the centre. So that's just a little bit of timing, very easy to do. They place their card in face down. I drop the rest of the cards on top, and I usually dribble the cards to show that there's no control. Now I ask them to concentrate on the card that's in their mind, and I pretend that I'm going to do some kind of mind reading effect with them. In fact, what I'm going to do is to spread through the cards. I'm going to angle the cards up so that they face me. I'd be doing this right in front of my face, but for explanation purposes I'll do it down here. And what I'm doing is I'm looking for my key card, which I remember is the Jack of Diamonds. As soon as I get to the Jack of Diamonds, I know the card to the right of it is the selection. So in this case, as we recall, it's the Two of Hearts. And I count from the Two of Hearts, spelling one card for each letter. So it's actually a spell as opposed to a count. The Two of Hearts, on the two, I say T to myself, W-O, O-F, H-E-A-R-T-S. My Two of Hearts is now done. Now I've got a Queen of Hearts here, so I'm going to spell the Queen of Hearts as well. I'm going to go Q-U-E-E-N, O-F-H-E-A-R-T-S. Now, I haven't got enough cards to do another spell, so at this point I would just make a casual gesture as I cut these cards from the top to the bottom, and I'm going to turn the deck face down. So I would, because I know what their card is now, I'd say, you're thinking of a red card, aren't you? They'd say, yes. I said, you know, if I was thinking of a red card, say the Queen of Hearts, and I'd make it look as if I'm just at that moment thinking of a card. I could spell to it one card for each letter. And sometimes I throw in a false cut here. This is taught elsewhere on the DVD, but it's a very practical cut that you can use in lots of routines. Doesn't change the order of anything, but I now spell one card for each letter. So I say the Queen of Hearts, I could go Q-U-E-E-N, O-F-H-E-A-R-T-S. I end up with the Queen of Hearts, and that's an amazing revelation. Now I say to them, but you're thinking of a card. What card are you thinking of? They tell you the name of their card, which in this case is the Two of Hearts, and you spell sometimes into their hand. If you watch the explanation, they're cupping their hands, I'm spelling it in there. If you've got a table space, you can do it on the table. T-W-O-O-F, two of, H-E-A-R-T-S. You end up with their card, the Two of Hearts. Now, I did say that this was a very practical routine, and there's lots of different presentations that you can do. If you are able to determine your host's name, if you're booked for a party and you know their name, instead of spelling to the Two of Hearts, when you get to the Two of Hearts in the centre of the deck or the card underneath the key card, you can actually spell their name. So instead of spelling Two of Hearts for the second revelation, you can spell the Queen out and say, you know what, you chose a card, but it's personal to you. So instead of spelling the name of the card, we'll spell your name. So if I was doing it for myself, I could spell Andrew Murray, and on the final Y of Murray, I turn it over and it's the chosen card. It's very practical. If you try it out, you'll realise it's very flexible. You can use it in almost any situation. And this is one I know that you're going to use and enjoy. The Clock Miracle is one of the easiest tricks you'll ever learn. It's a brilliant trick, it's multi-phase, multi-climax, and it packs a massive, massive punch. It's one of my favourites and I hope it will become one of yours. Learn it well and use it for that special occasion. Okay. We're going to try something. I'd like to think of your favourite hour in the day, so it could be any time from 1 till 12 o'clock.
Right.
If you were thinking of 5 o'clock, for example, what I'd like you to do is just take the cards and remove 5 cards from the top of the deck and just hide them wherever you like, somewhere where I couldn't see them. You can use your imagination. I'll turn away. If you just take the cards, just remove the number of cards. No, just from the top, just remove them from the top. Cards to represent your hour. So if you were thinking of 5 o'clock, you remove 5 cards. Have you done that?
Yes.
Perfect. Then hide the cards.
Right.
No prizes for guessing where they were. Okay, fine. I'm going to use 12 cards now, okay? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cards.
Was I meant to look at my card?
No, you weren't. Okay, I'm going to lay these out. That's 1 o'clock, that'll be 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock and 12 o'clock. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All I want you to do is just concentrate and think of the hour that you just chose. Look at me, please. You were thinking of 2 o'clock. Is that right? It was 2 o'clock.
Oh my God.
Now you were, I need you to think of one of these cards, okay? Look at the card obviously would be the 6 of hearts that you'd be choosing. I knew that you'd choose the 6 of hearts because you'll notice a box over here, and you'll notice in the box it does say you will choose the 6 of hearts.
God.
But you know, anybody could do this really, because the 6 of hearts is the one card that stands out from all the rest. It's true, because if you look at the backs of the cards, you'll notice every single card is blue, except for one, just one red card, and of course that is the 6 of hearts.
Very good.
Thank you very much. Good, good, good.
That is very good.
Clock Miracle is my handling of the clock trick. It's entirely self-working. It's one of my favourite effects, and I first came across it in Randy Wakeman's book, Randy Wakeman Presents. He has an excellent presentation called Overclock. My version does require some advanced preparation, which is very easy to do, will take less than 10 seconds. You need to take a card box and on the inside flap write the name of your force card. Now I've actually written you will choose the 6 of hearts because the 6 of hearts is my force card for this effect. I place the card box aside at the beginning of the routine. The only other preparation that I need is to take a red back card, which is my force card, the 6 of hearts, and I place it into the 13th position from the top of the deck. That is, there are 12 blue back cards on top. Now, the spectator is unaware of this at the beginning. I just introduce the deck and I ask them to think of their favourite hour of the day, any number between 1 and 12. Now, really they can't choose 12 because if they count off 12 cards, they are going to come across the red card. In hundreds of performances, this has never happened to me. If you say specifically, think of a number between 1 and 12, invariably they're going to go for 5, 6 or 7, and that's always worked out for me. So I ask them to think of an hour. Assuming they think of 3 o'clock, I explain I want them to remove 1 card to represent each hour they're thinking of. So 3 o'clock is 3 cards. They take those cards from the top of the deck, they hide them in a pocket under the table. For explanation purposes, we'll just place them under the mat there. And now I need to count off 12 cards from the top of the deck, 1 card representing each hour. Now, because I have a red back card, I can't let them see the red back in advance before I need it as my climax. So I just tilt the deck up towards me so the backs are towards me and I deal the cards off one at a time, counting as I do. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I set the rest of the cards on top of the box. And I say, you're thinking of your favourite hour. I'm going to lay the cards out in a clock formation. I do this anti-clockwise. I start off 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9, 10, 11 and 12 o'clock. You'll notice the 12 o'clock card is at a different angle to the rest of them, just makes it easier for them to observe the clock face and know where the cards are. But I recap, I say, think of the card that's at your favourite hour for me. So we've got 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's no confusion, I really point it out. Now, because I know my force card is the 6 of hearts, as I go through to explain we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way through to 12 o'clock, I just go 1, 2, 3 o'clock, and I remember 3 because that's my false card. Okay, that's all that I have to do. The trick is over from this point of view. So I say, you've now got a card in mind. They agree that they have. I push all the cards into the centre here, and I ask them to concentrate and just think in their mind of their favourite hour of the day. Now, I usually address the spectator directly, really look at them in between the eyes when I do this. And if you go back to the performance, you'll see exactly how I handled this. I start to say the sentence, I want you to think of your favourite hour, concentrate on the hour. But I never finish that sentence because I want it to appear as if, as I'm halfway through, it suddenly occurs to me what hour they're thinking of. So the way I would usually do this is just think of you're thinking of 3 o'clock, aren't you? And that's an amazing moment for them because supposedly apparently there's no way I could know what they're thinking of. So I've done something mind to mind with them, which is very strong. I say, you're thinking of 3 o'clock. Now I want you to concentrate on your card for me. They do that, I pause, I say, you're thinking of the 6 of hearts, aren't you? Another climax, they're absolutely stunned. I said, you know, I knew that you'd think of 3 o'clock and subsequently the 6 of hearts before today, and I can prove it. At this point, I remove the deck from on top of the card box, and I say, because I wrote it down, I flip the lid, and I let them see very clearly inside the case that it says, you will choose the 6 of hearts. That's the third climax. By this point, they're absolutely speechless. And then I just pause and I just wait a couple of seconds because I'm going to build up to the biggest climax of all. And I say, you know, anybody could have done this because the 6 of hearts is the one card that anybody could find. Now I leave that slightly ambiguous for them to think about it for a second. And then I turn the rest of the cards that represented the clock face down, and I start to spread them. Now, if you can see this nice and clearly, you can see that you can only see blue back cards here. Now, that's the ideal situation. You want to try to keep the red card hidden till the very last second. As you spread through, you'll say, because you'll notice every single card here actually has a blue back. Just one card sticks out like a sore thumb. It's one red card, and it is your one, the 6 of hearts. Please don't underestimate the power of this effect. It really is entirely self-working. It's down to your presentation, but play it well. Time the climaxes and you're going to have something which you're going to use for the rest of your performing life and something that people will enjoy and talk about for a long time to come. I hope you enjoy it. Twins is another amazing effect. I first came across it in Carl Folves' self-working card tricks, and it stayed with me for many, many years and has served me extremely well. From a spectator's point of view, it is completely impossible, and I know you're going to try this out and love it. Would you just take the deck and give them a shuffle for me, please?
Yes.
That's perfect, thank you. I'm going to remove 2 cards from the deck.
Yeah.
I'm going to take out these cards. I'm going to lay them face down onto your hands. That's the first one. And the second one is just about there. Excellent. Now, I'm going to show you what they are. We have the 3 of spades and the 2 of spades. Would you hold your hands out for me? I'm going to deal the cards 1 card at a time from the top. Anytime you like, please say stop for me.
Stop.
There, you happy?
Yes.
I'm going to place the 3 of spades in exactly where you stopped me. The rest of the cards go on top. Everything gets squared up. I'm going to repeat that. Anytime you like, just say stop for me.
Stop.
There?
Yes.
You sure?
Yeah.
I'm going to place the 2 in right there. Now, you shuffled the cards. I removed 2 cards. We placed the cards in, the 3 and the 2 exactly where you said.
Yeah.
If you just hold your hands out for me, I'm going to place the 3 there, the 2 right there. And what is amazing, out of all of the cards you could have stopped me at, right next to the 3 of spades is the 3 of clubs. Right next to the 2 of spades is the 2 of clubs.
Yeah.
An absolutely perfect match.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is the explanation for twins. You start off having a deck shuffled by a spectator, and this is absolutely a genuine shuffle. And the great thing about this is if you're at a party and you haven't got any props with you and somebody asks you to do something, this is one of the tricks that you can do with an old deck of cards which is 18 inches thick because they've held onto them for the last 20 years. The condition of the deck is not important for this, so this will really serve you well and get you out of many a sticky situation. It's a real miracle. The deck is genuinely shuffled. You pick the deck up, and what you're going to look at, first of all, is the card on the face. In this case, it's the Queen of Hearts. And holding the deck up towards you, and I'll do this down here so you can see it, all I'm going to do is remove the card which is the mate of the queen. Now the shuffle, by luck alone, has brought the Queen of Diamonds directly next to the Queen of Hearts. So as I would look through the deck, I would just remove the Queen of Diamonds and I'll place the Queen face down onto the table. I now need to look and glimpse the card on top of the deck. In this case, it's the Nine of Clubs. So I would do this as I spread the cards. I look at the Nine of Clubs and I continue spreading until I find the mate of the nine, which obviously is the Nine of Spades. I up jog it and I place that face down on top of the Queen that I removed first of all. The rest of the deck is set aside, and now I take these two cards together so I don't alter their position. I turn them face up and I say, you can clearly see the Queen and the nine. You shuffle the cards, these are the two test cards, and we're going to test your ESP ability. I now pick up the deck and I deal the cards one card at a time from the top to the table, asking them to stop wherever they like. Now, because I have peeked the cards, the matching cards to the Queen and the nine are on the bottom of the deck and the top of the deck. So as I deal the cards down, I make sure I deal a few cards. As I explain, I want them to stop wherever they like. As soon as they stop me, let's say it's here, I take the Queen and I place the Queen face up exactly where they stop me, and I place the rest of the cards on top. What this actually does is place the Queen of Hearts directly face to face with the Queen of Diamonds. Because the nine, the matching nine to the Nine of Spades, was originally on top and I reverse counted the cards, the matching card to the nine is now at the bottom, which means I can repeat the effect. I can deal through the cards, asking them to stop wherever they like. They genuinely can stop wherever they like. I place the nine in, and when I drop the rest of the cards on top, I'm placing the Nine of Clubs face to face with the Nine of Spades. I can now recap the situation, and I suggest you really play this up for all that it's worth. I spread the cards out and I allow them to see that the nine and the Queen are really in random positions decided by them. I then pick the cards up, and as I spread through the cards, all that I say is, this is where you stop me with the Queen of Diamonds. And I break the deck and I take the card above the Queen and the face up Queen and I lay them down to my right. I continue to spread. I do exactly the same for the nine. I show the nine, I say, this is exactly where you stop me with the nine, removing the card above the nine and the face up nine. And then I spread the deck out and I allow them to see that all of the cards in the deck are different, and ask them how they knew to stop the Queen of Diamonds right next to the Queen of Hearts, how they knew to stop the Nine of Spades right next to the Nine of Clubs. It's an absolute miracle class moment. Please try this out. It's a superb reputation making routine that's very, very easy to do. Bob Hummer has created many ingenious routines using a deck of cards. His 20 card miracle is exactly what the title suggests. It uses just 20 cards, so you don't even need a complete deck. It's a miracle status trick which is going to fool your fellow magicians. Try this out, it's a real winner, one of my favourites, and I hope it becomes one of yours too. Hi Jess, thanks for helping me out. Would you take this packet of cards please, place it behind your back, cut it in half wherever you like, and complete the cut. Take the new top cards, top two cards, turn them face up. So turn them over, then cut the packet again wherever you like, and turn the top two cards face up. And repeat that as many times as you like. I really want this to be your own choice. I'm going to have no influence over this at all. Once you're happy with that, I'm going to turn away. I'm going to ask you to bring the packet out in front of you. If the top card is face up, have a look at it, remember it, and turn it face down. If it's face down, turn it face up, look at it and remember it, okay? So I'll turn away. If the card is face up, remember it and turn it face down. Similarly, if it's face down, turn it face up and remember it. Place the packet back behind your back. Cut the cards wherever you like in half. Yep. And if we turn back to back, would you just place the cards from your hands into mine? Thank you. And this is what we're going to try. Because apparently magicians have very sensitive fingertips. You've probably heard the expression sleight of hand. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. And of course you'll recall that I have no idea how many cards you turn face up. where you cut the packets or what card you're now thinking of. This is what we're going to try. I'm going to bring the cards out in front of me. If I spread the cards out, you'll notice every single card now is face up in the packet.
Yep.
That's every single one with the exception of just one card. Jess, what card did you look at?
8 clubs.
8 of clubs, and you'll see right there is in fact the 8 of clubs.
Yep.
Thank you very much. This is the explanation for Bob Hummer's 20 card trick. It uses 20 cards. No surprises there. They are set up in a special way. They are alternated face down and face up all the way through. So the top card is face down, followed by a face up, face down, face up, all the way down to the bottom. When you introduce the packet, you make no mention of the fact that you're using 20 cards. You ask the spectator to help you. This is not really one of those kind of tricks you want to do in a noisy bar because it does rely on specific instructions. It's a real magician fooler, so try this at the next convention. 20 cards are used. You give explicit instructions as follows. You ask the spectator to take the cards behind their back. You say, it's a packet of cards, we're going to try something, take them behind your back. When they're behind their back, they can cut them anywhere they like. So this is what they would do behind their back. They cut them wherever they like. I ask them to take the top 2 cards, thumb them over and turn them face up. Because they think all of the cards are face up, obviously this makes sense. What they're actually doing is taking a face up and face down card and just reversing the situation. They do that as many times as they like. They can cut the packet, they take the top 2 cards, they thumb them over, they reverse them. It doesn't matter how many times they do this. Once they've done that, you now need to give them a specific instruction. You ask them to bring the deck out in front of them, the packet out in front of them. Now you turn away and you give them a specific instruction. You say to them, if the card on the face, on top, is face up, look at it, remember it, and turn it face down. If it's face down, turn it face up, look at it and remember it and leave it face up. Now in this case, the card is the King of Spades, it is face up. So, as per the instructions, I would ask them, if it's face up, look at it, remember it, and turn it face down, which they do, and then cut the packet wherever you like. That's exactly what they do. We now stand back to back, and I take the packet from them. As I explain, I'm going to try something using the sensitivity of my fingers. You talk about sleight of hand, whichever kind of patter you want to use is fine for this effect. You just need something to cover what you're doing. You take the cards, and what you're going to do is to deal them alternately between your fingers. Now this is very simple to do behind your back. You'll try this out once, you'll realise it's very practical and very easy to do. Now when I say alternating, what I mean is you take the top card between your forefinger and thumb, the second card between your little finger and third finger, and you're going to alternate the deal between the packets. So this is exactly what you do behind your back. You're just pushing them in like this, one card at a time. Now what I do, once I've done this, behind my back, is I bring my left hand behind as well, obviously that's there, and I turn the top packet face down on top. Now because of the situation of the cards face up, face down at the beginning of the trick, and the fact that they've changed the order of just one card, because that was the card that was face up that they turned face down, when you come out with the packet in front of you, all you have to do is spread the packet now, and every single card will be face down, with the exception of one card, their selected card, the King of Spades. Now the other alternative to this is that you will come out with the packet face up. That's not a problem either. In fact, in many respects, it's probably the stronger way to end, because you can now spread the packet face up, and they'll see every single card face up with the exception of one face down card. Gives you an additional climax in many ways. You ask them what the card was that they looked at and remembered. They say the King of Spades. You very fairly remove the King of Spades from the deck. You show it to them as the one card that is face down in a face up packet. It's a miracle class trick. One of my favourites, a real magician fooler. Try this out, pay careful attention to the instructions, and you're going to have a winner on your hands. I hope you enjoy it. This is the explanation for the shuffling lesson. This is a Chad Long effect, which is superb. Really do not underestimate the power of this routine. I wanted to extend a personal note of thanks to Chad for allowing us to include this on this DVD. I hope you enjoy it. We're going to try something using a deck of cards. Now I'm going to give the cards a very thorough shuffle.
Okay.
I'm going to teach you actually how magicians learn to shuffle cards. So I'm going to give you about half of the deck. Okay. If you just spread them out between your hands, you can get comfortable with the cards. I want you to do exactly as I do. If you just take the cards, place them like that in your left hand, and then hold them like this in your right. What you can do is you can actually pull one card with your left thumb into your left hand. Yep, just like that, perfect. And then another one on top, and then another. Yeah, that's fine. And then one more. And once you feel confident, you can actually pull like a small bunch of cards, and you can shuffle off until you come to the top. Excellent, that's perfect. I can tell you've probably done this before.
I'm a quick learner.
Yeah, you're a quick learner, perfect. Now there's another way that you can destroy any stack within a deck, and that's if you spread the cards out between your hands. You can push up like a block from the centre, and then you can come over and you can pull the block out of the centre, and you can put them back on top. Okay, and if you do that again, that absolutely destroys there being any stack of any kind within the deck. Perfect, back on top. Now another way to destroy the stack is if I deal 2 cards here and 2 cards here and 2 cards here and 2 cards here, if you do exactly the same across there, so that's 2, 2, 2 and 2, perfect. Now what we need to do is deal 1 card at a time and keep repeating that till we've dealt all the cards. Now this is the best way to shuffle a deck. This is the way the croupiers shuffle a deck when they open a new deck in a casino, to make sure everything's fair and random. Now I've been doing this a long time. You'll notice despite all of the shuffling, I've actually ended up with the King of Diamonds, the King of Clubs, the King of Hearts and the King of Spades. But I've been doing this a long time. Let's see how well you did. Would you turn over the top cards? Pretty good. An Ace of Clubs. That's amazing. Ace of Spades, Ace of Hearts, the Ace of Diamonds. Absolutely perfectly done.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Chad Long's shuffling lesson is a brilliant routine. It's very easy to do, requires a very minimal setup, which takes just a few seconds. What you do is place the 4 aces on top of the deck, and you place the 4 kings on the bottom of the deck. You're going to explain to the spectator that you're going to teach them how to shuffle. As you explain that you're going to teach them how to shuffle, you riffle shuffle the deck, retaining the kings on the bottom and the aces on the top. Now this is a very simple technique. You break the deck in half. The left thumb allows at least 4 cards to fall first, so that's the 4 kings covered. The right thumb allows all of its cards except for a top block, including the aces, which it holds back, to fall, and it allows the final block to fall on top. Okay, so when you push the cards together, you still have the aces on top, and you still have the kings on the bottom. Now in real time, it's a very disarming shuffle because it just looks as if the cards are really genuinely mixed together and they are unaware of the position of the aces or the kings. Now you're going to give the top half of the deck to the spectator. As you ask them to familiarise themselves with the cards, you make a gesture and you spread the cards between your hands. As you do that, you eye count the bottom 4 cards, and I just very casually make a gesture, break and bring the kings from the bottom of the deck straight up to the top. If you go back and watch the performance, you'll realise this is a very casual action which never gets spotted. So now the position is you have your 4 kings on top of your half, the spectator has the 4 aces on top of their half. Now for explanation purposes, I'm going to do everything with my half, so you will see exactly how this works. As I'm doing this, a spectator would be doing exactly the same with their half. So first of all, you explain that when you first started off learning to shuffle, you used an overhand shuffle technique. And you ask the spectator to take the cards in their left hand, then come across with their right hand and hold the deck like this. And you ask them to pull 1 card from the top into their left hand, repeat that with the next one, and the next one, and the next one, until they feel comfortable enough to start pulling small blocks and they can shuffle off to the top. What this does is very sneakily move the kings that were originally on the top to the bottom. So the 4 kings are now on the bottom of the deck. Now if I move to the spectator's half, they would be duplicating these actions. So they'd be doing exactly the same, pulling 1 card at a time from the top to the bottom, shuffling off, And unknown to them, they have now moved the 4 aces from the top of their portion to the bottom of their portion. You now explain that one way to destroy any stack, any cyclical stack in a deck, is to spread the cards out, to push a section from the centre up, and to strip that out from the centre and to place that on top. Now what that does is do nothing except keep the kings on top. It does change the order of the cards, but the ones that you're trying to retain the order of are the kings themselves. Okay, so you can do this as many times as you like, move from the centre up to the top. You are not disturbing the setup of the kings on the bottom, and similarly when they copy your action, they are not going to disturb the 4 aces which remain on the bottom of their portion. Now you explain the best way to really ensure the cards are well mixed together is just to deal 2 cards from the top, followed by 2 more, 2 more, and 2 more. Okay? You deal them into 4 piles, and then you ask them to deal the cards off singly. Now you'll realise as you do this, as long as you keep the same pattern, dealing 1 card to each packet, at the end of the shuffle, the last 4 cards that you're going to place on top will actually be the 4 kings. They repeat that, and they're dealing 2, 2, 2, 2. Remember, when the actual performance, they're doing this simultaneously, so they're copying you, so they don't do this after, it happens all at the same time. They end up with a portion of 4 cards, so 4 piles in front of them. You end up with the same, and you explain very casually, almost jokingly, that I've been doing this a long time, and that's why here I have the king of spades, the king of diamonds, the king of hearts, and the king of clubs. And when they turn over their cards, which they've been shuffling, handling all the time, they will be amazed to find on top of their portion they have the ace of hearts, the ace of spades, the ace of diamonds, and the ace of clubs. The shuffling lesson, a brilliant routine. I hope you try it out. Chicago Opener is an effect so strong that it's found its way into many a professional performer's repertoire. It's very easy to understand and it's extremely magical. Deck of cards. Would you just remove any card for me? Please have a look at it. Let the camera see it as well. Thank you. Please don't forget your card. As I go through, just say stop.
Stop.
There, pop your card back. The rest of the cards go on top. I'm going to give the cards a twist. Something magical is about to happen with your card. If we spread through the cards, you'll notice 1 card, just 1 card, turns red.
Yes.
Now, of course, a few moments ago, you chose a card. There's now 1 red card in the deck, and you see the 1 card that we do have is, in fact, the 2.
Yes.
Here's your 1. Perfect. I'm going to take the 2. I'm going to pop the 2 just into my pocket. We'll try this again. I'm going to give the cards a shuffle. Anytime you like, you say stop for me.
Stop.
There. Just have a look. Please remember the card.
Yes.
And remember. And we'll put the cards back and give the cards a twist. Looking for 1 red card now. Sorry, maybe the wrong way. 1 more twist. And of course there is just 1 red card up here. And of course the one that we have is in fact the 6 of hearts, which hopefully is yours.
Good.
Thank you. This is the explanation of Frank Garcia's Chicago Opener. You do require an extra card, which is a red-backed duplicate of one of the cards in your blue-backed deck. Now, the red-backed duplicate goes on the bottom of the deck. You can see here I've got the 6 of hearts, and the blue-backed duplicate goes immediately above it. So we have 2 6 of hearts, blue-backed on the bottom, and beneath that, so the bottommost card is the red-backed duplicate 6. You have a card chosen, so you can do any kind of shuffle or false cut to retain the red card and the duplicate on the bottom. You spread the cards out and you ask for a card to be chosen. That card is selected. In this case, the card selected will be the ace of clubs. You use the Hindu shuffle control to make sure that card gets placed beneath the red card. So that is, you pull cards from the top of the deck, ask a spectator to say stop wherever they like. They do. When they do, the ace of clubs goes on top of the section, and you place the right hand portion on top, which places the red card on top of the selected card. You square everything up. You explain that something magical is going to happen. Make any kind of gesture you like. I usually give the cards a twist which is a nice display. And you spread the cards out to show there's now one red back card in the centre of the deck. This is a really strong moment for the spectator. You cut the cards so that the red back card is on top, and then you get yourself ready for a double lift. Now you can use any style of double lift if you like. The simplest way to do this is just to gesture with the red card to push over slightly on the top card, and as you pull it back you're getting a pinky break underneath it. So when you place the red back on top, you now have a break under two cards. You ask them the name of their card, you execute a double lift, show the ace of clubs for the first climax. They're absolutely astonished their card is now the red back card. You turn the double face down and you thumb off the top red card. Now they think that's the ace of clubs that they've just seen, but of course we know that is now the duplicate of the six of hearts, which is now on the bottom of the deck. Okay? By cutting the red card to the top, automatically we'll place that to the bottom. Now you're going to use the Hindu Shuffle Force very effectively. Sometimes rather than placing the red card on the table, I can put it into my breast pocket. If you check out the performance, you'll see that's what I did. That stops anybody prematurely turning the card over, although in my experience nobody ever does, because the heat is not here at all. You can do a Hindu Shuffle from the centre, which doesn't disturb anything. The force card is on the bottom. You ask them to say stop wherever they like. Wherever they stop you, you angle the card up so you're actually showing them the bottom card. You ask them to remember that card, okay, so they can clearly see the card. You square everything up and you really ham this up for everything that it's worth. You give the deck a twist and you explain that one card is going to turn red. You spread through the deck. They can clearly see that there are no red cards. You feign your embarrassment. It's kind of a magician in trouble situation, which spectators thrive on, and you really can play this up for all that it's worth. Give the deck a twist. You say, I'm really sorry, there should be a red card. There should be a red card. And almost as an afterthought, you say, oh, I know, there is a red card. You either gesture to your pocket and remove it, or if there's a card on the table, you say, oh, but there is one red card, and dramatically reveal it to be the six of hearts, which is a stunning revelation. Invariably, the spectators will pick up the card and examine it. They don't understand how the card changed. They thought it was the ace in this case. It's a brilliant effect. Try it out. And anytime you want to perform it, all you have to do is put one red back card in your pocket. And if you're using a blue deck, you can use it at any time throughout your repertoire, your performing repertoire during the evening. This is one I know you're going to use. I really hope that you do give it the practice it deserves. Henry Christ's Fabulous Four Aces is a superb routine that I know you're going to use. When you lose the aces in the deck, shuffle them and reproduce the aces, it looks like it's taken you 20 or 30 years of practice just to master the techniques necessary. It's very easy to do, extremely practical, and I know you're going to enjoy it. We have here the four aces, the club, the heart, the spade, the diamond. A magician's practice to find the four aces. I'll show you how we do that. I take about a quarter of the cards and I place them behind each ace. So it's about a quarter of the deck behind the diamond, the spade, a quarter behind the heart and behind the club. And what we do is we lose each ace in the quarter of the deck. So we really put that in there, make sure that really is lost. I'll do that again with the ace of spades. Ace of spades really does go all the way in. Next with the ace of hearts, I want you to really see the ace of hearts really does get trapped into the centre of the deck. And finally with the ace of clubs, we'll cut that one all the way in. Now there's a special way that we find the aces. I'm going to give the deck a twist. When we do that, when we spread the cards out, you'll notice one card turns itself face up in the centre. You'll notice it's a red 7. And the 7 is an indicator card. If we spread through the deck, excuse me, let's turn these face up. We have the 7 of diamonds, which will help us find the ace of diamonds. If we count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards down, we end up with the ace of diamonds. I'll do that again, this time speeding things up with the ace of spades, give the cards a twist. When we spread the cards out, you'll notice the ace of spades turns itself face up, right in the centre of the deck. I'll do that again, this time using spelling for the ace of hearts. So that's one card for each letter. That's A-C-E-O-F-H-E-A-R-T-S. S, we end up with the ace of hearts. Of course, there's one ace left, the ace of clubs. Perhaps the most difficult one to find. You're going to find it for me. Anytime you like, as I run through the cards, please say stop.
Stop.
Right there. One card from the centre of the deck. The very last ace of clubs. Henry Christ's Fabulous Four Aces is a superb routine. You need to remove the 4 aces from the deck and lay them out from your left to right in the following order: ace of clubs, ace of hearts, ace of spades and ace of diamonds. You explain that each ace is going to be lost in its own respective quarter of the deck, and you pick the deck up, which can be genuinely shuffled at the beginning, and you spread over. When you spread over to cover the ace of diamonds, you're going to remove exactly 9 cards. Now, there is an easy technique to count 9 cards rather than singly, and that's to push over 3 cards at a time with the left thumb. So that's 3, 6, 9 cards. You square those up, you place them face down on top of the ace of diamonds. You're now going to cover the ace of spades. You're going to spread the cards in your hand till you come across the first 7 that you come to. In this case, it's the 7 of diamonds. As you spread over, you square the 7 of diamonds, pull it flush with the deck. You're going to take a pinky break just above the 7 of diamonds. You're going to turn all of these cards face down on top of the 7 and steal away everything from above the break. So when you place this section on top of the ace of spades, it has a reverse 7 underneath. You're now going to split the remaining cards in half, place half face down on top of the ace of hearts, the remainder on top of the ace of clubs. You now explain that each ace is going to be lost very fairly in its own respective quarter. You're going to snap the 9 cards into a one-handed fan. If it's easier for you, you can do this as a two-handed fan. And you're going to insert the ace of diamonds into the 4th position from the bottom. So visually you count 1, 2, 3, the ace of diamonds goes in like that. Now in real time, it happens just like this. Very casually, you say the ace of diamonds gets lost into its quarter. You pick up the ace of spades. The ace of spades you leave out-jogged, and you're going to place the remaining cards behind the ace on top, and you're going to push that all the way in. You're going to take the ace of hearts, you're going to place that face down on top of its quarter, side jog to the right, place everything from the right hand on top, and hold everything. And you're going to show the ace of hearts, so that the ace of hearts you can see. The ace of hearts is absolutely there, and you're going to pull it in, and you're going to keep a pinky break underneath the ace of hearts. So you can clearly see the pinky break there. As you're doing that, you're just going to move the ace of clubs on top of its portion. You're going to cut directly to the break and place the remainder on top as you push the ace of clubs flush. The deck is absolutely squared up, and now you're set for the revelation, which in many respects is almost automatic. First, you explain you're going to find the aces, you give the deck a twist however you like, and when you spread the cards from hand to hand, you're going to show that there's a face-up 7 in the deck. Now you can spread on the table as well, a nice wide spread to show that there's just one card face up. You pick the cards up, and as you spread them hand to hand, you get to the 7, and you're going to hold a break underneath the card underneath the 7, okay, which incidentally is the ace of spades. Okay, I hope you can clearly see the ace. So what happens as you spread, you're going to turn everything above the 7 face up, and you're going to take a pinky break underneath the card beneath the 7, which is the ace. Everything goes to the table. You're going to place the 2 cards, so that's the 7 and the ace, on top, and you're going to count 7 cards, explaining you will find the ace of diamonds. The revelation happens, diamonds, spades, hearts and clubs. So you count face up 7 cards. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards is the ace of diamonds. You set the ace of diamonds to the side, turn everything face up and place it on top. You now explain you're going to find the ace of spades more directly. Again, give the cards a twist. Make a nice wide spread either on the table to show the ace of spades face up by itself, or in the hands to show the ace of spades face up. What happens is you break everything below the ace of spades, including the ace of spades, in the left hand. You thumb the ace of spades on top of the ace of diamonds, and everything from the left hand now goes on top. You are now set up to count to the ace of hearts. It's one card for each letter. So that's A, C, E, O, F, H, E, A, R, T. On the S, you turn the card face up, you now have the ace of hearts. When you place the ace of hearts on top of the other two aces, you now have the ace of clubs on top of the deck. What I do, as I remove the ace of hearts, I just take a pinky break underneath that, place everything from the table on top, and I immediately cut to the break, bringing the ace of clubs to the bottom of the deck, and I continue to cut small packets so it looks very random and very fair. I now ask somebody to call stop wherever they like, and I'm going to produce the card very simply using a Hindu shuffle control. I pull a block from the centre to start with, just Hindu shuffling, keeping the ace of clubs on the bottom, and I ask the spectator to call stop wherever they like. Once they understand exactly what's going to happen, I pull from the top, small sections. As soon as they say stop, remember the ace of clubs is at the bottom, it's undisturbed as I pull cards from the top. My left thumb goes on top of the deck, and I'm going to drop these on top, and the ace of clubs is going to contact the flesh of my left thumb. So what happens in real time is as they call stop, that immediately happens. All I do is extend my left thumb, one card comes out from the centre of the deck, and in one motion, I flip that over to show the ace of clubs. Now I'm going to show you that again in real time. The ace of clubs is at the bottom of the deck. I do a centre Hindu shuffle which keeps the ace at the bottom. I explain they can call stop wherever they like. As soon as they call stop there, I move my left thumb on top, drop everything on top, lever, I'll do that again, lever the ace of clubs from the bottom of the deck all the way to the top of the deck. I thumb the ace of clubs over. They can examine the deck. There's no extra aces. That's all four aces, the clubs, the heart, the spade, the diamond from a shuffled deck. Paul Curry's Out of This World is one of the greatest routines in Magic, and it's fooled some of the top minds in Magic. It's going to fool every layperson you show it to. This is my presentation for that astounding routine. So we have a deck of cards here. You can see all the cards are randomly mixed together. I'm going to give the cards a very thorough shuffle. So we have a random assortment of reds and blacks. Going to remove a red ace and a black ace. And they'll be kind of the control cards for this experiment, reds and blacks. So I'm going to remove just a few cards to start with, just to test whether you think they're red or black. I'll lay them exactly where you asked me to. Red or black?
Red.
Red, okay, so that goes with the red and...
Red.
Red and...
Red.
Red, okay, and black, okay, perfect. I'm going to do this until we go through all the cards. I'll just pull some up at random, so red or black?
Red.
Red and...
Black.
Black and...
Black.
Black and...
Red.
Red and...
Black.
Absolutely, very good. So we'll carry on with this. We'll just pull up a few more from the centre.
Red.
Red. Black. Black. Red. Black. Good stuff. And we're almost there. We'll try to speed this up a little bit in a minute. And red. Red. Black. Black and black. Okay, good stuff. Now, obviously you're doing this, I sense from a gut reaction, it's almost, you're getting a feeling for it. I've got to tell you, you're doing pretty well so far, so we'll carry on. Red. Red.
Black.
Black. Black. Now what we're going to do, let's swap things over because yeah, this will make sense. If I put now some blacks down here and a red up here, let's give these a real thorough shuffle, and I want you to go with your gut instinct here. So I'm going to deal them down. You tell me reds or blacks. And remember, we've swapped the piles over this time. So
Red.
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 Black.
Black.
Red. 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 Black. Black. Red. Black.
You sure?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, excellent. And
Red.
red.
Black.
black,
Black.
black,
Red.
red,
Red.
red,
Black.
black,
Black.
black,
Black.
black.
Red.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Some people that are really good at this get about 50% of the cards right. Well, let's have a look how well you've done. So first of all, we started off with the blacks. With the black ace, you see we got black, 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 black. I'd say that's extremely well done. If you have a look over here, you'll notice you've got red cards. Every single red card with every single red card. That's halfway through the deck. But if we just square these up and have a spread, you'll notice you did it all the way through, all the blacks with the blacks, all the reds with the reds. Absolutely, 100%, perfectly done. Thank you for joining me, and brilliantly done. This is the explanation for Paul Currie's Out of This World. This is one of the great effects in Magic. I start off by shuffling the deck, and I let the assisting spectator know that the deck is a real assortment of mixed cards, blacks and reds. I explain that I'm going to test their ESP ability, and to do this I'm going to remove 2 test cards. Now I will usually go for the aces, in this case a red ace and a black ace, and I'll just thumb through and I'll remove those and I'll place them in front of me to the left. I now give the cards another shuffle if I like, and what I'm going to do is to remove blocks of cards, so a few cards at a time. And when I do this, what I'm actually going to do is remove just the red cards. Okay? They think it's going to be a random assortment, and I give every impression that it is, but all I'm going to do is to go through and I'm going to up jog all the red cards. Now obviously the cards in performance would be angled towards me. For explanation purposes I'll do it down here. So I'll probably up jog 7 or 8 cards, something like that, and then I'll take them out one card at a time and I'll say, where do you think red or black? So they'll say red, black, red, black, so on and so forth, till they end up with a mixture of reds and black cards in a pile similar to the one that I'm just making here. What actually happens is that the red cards, the red ace will have all red cards behind it, and the black ace will also have all red cards behind it, and that's important for the final revelation. So I'll continue to up jog these. I'll remove all of the red cards, and I do this until I just have 1 red card left in the deck. In this case it will be the 10 of hearts. So these are all put into their nominated positions. And then halfway through the routine it occurs to me, I say, you know what, I'm going to try to swap things over. So instead of the reds being at the top, let's put the reds at the bottom and the blacks at the top, so we'll swap things over. Now I've only got 1 red card here, it's a 10, so I'll say let's try this with a 10, make it seem very casual. I lay the 10 down into the bottom pile, and I'll look through my packet and I'll remove a 10 as well, and I'll put it into the top pile. Now all of the remaining cards in my hands are black cards. I turn these face down and I shuffle, and I explain, because this is quite a long procedure so far, we're going to do this quickly, go with your gut instinct. So exactly the same procedure, they nominate some for the top, some for the bottom, some for the top, some for the bottom. A subtlety which I use, and you'll see in the performance, is when they actually name the card and it goes into the appropriate pile, so they were to say black in this case, I'd actually flash the card and I'd say, yes, very good, you're right. And I do that throughout the routine, which is a really nice sell, and you'll see how well that works in the performance section. So the cards are laid out like this, and then I explain, you know, if people are very susceptible to ESP and, you know, they're very good with their mind and they're open, they get about 50% of the cards right. I then split the top pile, so I separate at the face-up card, and I put my right forefinger on the face-up card and I push it to the right, and I move all the cards beneath it to the left. And then I draw attention right down here on top of the ace, and I say, you were first of all trying to find the red cards, which is amazing because here we do have red cards. And I very slowly start to turn them over, and I show that every single card here is in fact a red card. Every single one. And then I draw my attention back to this pile and I say, but of course we swapped this one over, and then you had to find the black ones. And I deal them down one at a time and slowly find and reveal that they've chosen every single black card. Now this is where the major difference between my handling and any of the handlings that I've seen before is different. A lot of the time you would have to make a a very dodgy looking switch of the packets, but I think this one really flows nicely. And I would like to credit Bruce Smith, who I used to work with many years ago, for showing me this handling. I don't think it's original with him. He didn't know the creator, but he did share it with me, and I'm sharing it with you now. Instead of making any dodgy switch, all you do is you leave the first face-up card on the table, you scoop everything up above it, you turn everything face up in your hand, you spread face up, you show all the black cards together, which you can now push together in a neat pile. Take the face down card, turn it face up, as you say, every black with the blacks, every red with the reds, to bring the trick to an amazing climax. This is one that your spectators are going to remember and talk about for a very, very long time. Really give it the attention that it deserves, try to build it up, really put a nice presentation in with this effect, and it's one that you'll be booked again and again to perform for the crowds that love to see magic. Deck of cards. You can see all the cards in the deck are different. As I spread through, anytime you like, just say stop.
Stop.
There. And I ask you to remember that card.
Yeah.
Please do not forget the name of the card. I'm going to square the cards up. Most magicians would give the cards a shuffle like this. I'm going to do it in a slightly unconventional way. I'm going to mix face up and face down cards together like this. Okay, so you clearly see a picture of face up and face down cards being very carefully mixed together, face up and face down. And that gives us a mix of cards, some face down, some face up, some cards face to face, back to back. And I give the cards a twist. Watch what happens when we do that. You'll notice every single card now faces the same way. Every single card all the way through the deck, with the exception of one card. Hopefully your 3 of clubs. Topsy-turvy cards is an extremely practical, in the hands handling of the Vernon Triumph effect. It's very simple to do. You can use any deck, anytime, anywhere. The cards are generally shuffled to start with, and a card is selected. Now, rather than have a card chosen and removed from the deck and replaced, what I do is have a card peeked at and use the Hofzinser spread control to control it from the centre of the deck to the bottom of the deck. Now, the mechanics of this are as follows. I spread the cards, ask somebody to call stop wherever they like. They call stop. The card that they stop me at is spread half off the deck, and I angle the card so that they can see the card. I sometimes turn my head away to make it extra convincing. Now, to control the card from the centre of the deck to the bottom, the left and right hands make simultaneous actions. Let me just show you first of all the position of the left hand card. It's halfway off the deck. The right hand spread of cards, this is the most important card for the move to start. This extreme left edge is going to cover the extreme left edge of the selection. As the hands come together, this card is jammed under the left thumb. The left thumb lifts ever so slightly and pulls that card so that it covers the extreme left edge of the selection. As that happens, underneath, the right forefinger pulls the selection to the right. As the left hand continues to spread its cards, this selection is now free, I hope you can see that there, and rides along the bottom of the cards and is brought to the bottom of the deck. Now I'm going to repeat that so you can see that very clearly. This is the selection. The cards are spread. Card is chosen and shown. The right hand brings its cards on top of the left hand cards. The card is aligned, the edges are aligned, and then the left thumb, pulls the rightmost card over. This card rides along the bottom and is loaded like that. One more time. 7 of spades. In real time is shown. The cards come together, the cards are spread, the card is loaded onto the bottom of the deck. Now, in order to facilitate a very easy cut at the end of the trick, you leave the 7 of spades on the bottom and you bevel the cards downwards. Now, you can either do it just like this, very casually in a gesture, or you can spring the cards from the right hand to the left hand. The selection is on the bottom. The shuffling procedure happens between the left and right hands as follows. The left hand spreads cards over from the left to the right. The right hand takes them in a palm up position, turns palm down as the left hand continues to spread, turns palm up. Each time the left hand spreads off about 6 or 7 cards, and you continue to spread all the way down to the bottom. Now you do this until there are about 4 or 5 cards left. The right hand turns palm down, pushes every single card off except the bottom card, which is the selection. As it turns palm up again, the selection is loaded on top. Now this looks like there is a genuine mix of cards, face up, face down, face up, face down. The real situation is you have the selection on top, followed by approximately half the deck face up, followed by approximately half the deck face down. Now there is a natural break near the centre of the deck because of the beveled cards, and this will come into play in a couple of seconds. You cut beneath that break to show a mix of cards. You mentioned that there's some cards face down. Cut above that break to show some cards face up. And now what you're going to do is cut directly at that break. Now that is a very natural break. There's a big section there where the right thumb just contacts above that break, and you just bring up like that. So in real time, from spectator's view, the right thumb comes over, lifts up at the natural break, and instead of showing the card and turning palm down and replacing the section, it stays palm up and places that section on top. So effectively you've turned the top half over. You now make a gesture, give the cards a spin, spread the cards out. Every single card will appear face down except for the selected card, their 7 of spades, to end an amazing trick. A deck of cards, you can see the cards are randomly mixed together. What I'd like you to do is just shuffle the cards for me. Give them a really good mix. And once you've shuffled them, would you cut them into 3 approximately equal piles for me? Keep the cards face down, 3 approximately equal piles. Good stuff. Yeah, that's okay. Okay, perfect. What I'd like you to do is to pick up any of those piles, please. I'll turn away. Have a look at the top card of that pile. Please remember it and show it to the camera as well. Yeah? Turn that entire pile face up. Place the face up pile on top of one of the remaining face down piles. And place the other pile on top of all. So you've sandwiched some face up cards between some face down cards. If we cut the cards roughly in half, would you just shuffle those 2 halves together so we have face up and face down halves being shuffled together? Excellent, just push them together. Excellent, thank you very much. Okay, now you'll realise we have a complete mix of cards. Some face up, others face down. Nobody knows exactly where your card is within this packet. Now that card kind of feels right to me. It's the way you looked at it, it felt just right. What card did you choose?
10 of diamonds.
You see right there is the 10
That's amazing.
of diamonds. Thank you very much. Impossible location is a brilliant effect. It's a real magician fooler. It will fool any magician or any layman unfamiliar with the principle. What's great, it doesn't rely on a full deck of cards, so you can do it with a borrowed deck, and the deck can be shuffled to start with. For explanation purposes, we are going to shuffle the deck to start with, so we end up with something completely random. And you ask the assisting spectator to cut the deck into 3 approximately equal face down piles. They do that, and you ask them to pick up any pile. It really doesn't matter which one they choose. We'll say this one. They can shuffle the cards again if they like. What they need to do is have a look at the card on top of the packet and remember it. So in this case it would be the Queen of Hearts. They turn it face down. You ask them to place the entire packet face up on top of either of the remaining 2 packets. They can place it on top of either. We'll do that, and they place the remaining face down packet on top. So the situation here is very simple. Just to recap, you have about 1/3 of the deck face down, 1/3 of the deck face up, 1/3 of the deck face down. You can ask them to split the deck in half, or you can cut it in half yourself. And if they're proficient and capable of doing a good riffle shuffle, by all means encourage them to do so. Otherwise, you can very cleanly riffle shuffle the halves together yourself. And you can do this at fingertips to show that there's no funny controls or anything like that. Now, once the riffle shuffle is done, to find the card is very, very easy. All you do is you pick the cards up and you need to turn them the opposite way to the way they lay on the table, so the different orientation. So in this case, you can see the 5 of spades is face up. I'm going to pick it up so that it's face down in my hand, and I'm going to spread through the cards. Now, this relies on a very simple principle, which is self-working. When you spread through the cards, you'll notice a certain run of cards. And as you can see, there's a long run of face-up cards. I'm going to start from the beginning again. You'll see we have a mixture, just 3, 1, 1, 1, 1s of singles, face-up cards, but then you'll come to a big block of face-up cards. At the end of the block of face-up cards, there'll be one face-down card. That will be the selection. Okay, it works by itself, it automatically works. So the way you would do this in real time is to say, you've chosen a card, you've shuffled it face up and face down. You can see the deck is a real mess of cards. And all you do is you go through, say, I'm kind of getting a sense of one card. That one feels right to me. If you like, you can cut it so that it's more central. Ask them to think of the card or name the card that they chose. Strip it out very fairly and you can show it is the Queen of Hearts, exactly the card that they chose. And it's a very, very effective, strong revelation of a chosen card from a shuffled deck where you handle nothing. Try this one out, you'll really enjoy it. The Master Poker Deal is very easy to do. That's kind of the theme of these tricks, but it really packs a punch. Try it out. You'll see the kind of reaction you'll get. People will think that you spent years mastering the skill and technique required for a real card cheat. We have here the 4 aces. Yes. If we were playing poker together, there are certain ways that I could cheat to guarantee that I have the winning hand. I'm going to place the aces on the bottom of the deck. If I shuffle the cards and let go of the aces first, it would look like a very fair shuffle. But what I've in fact done is kept the aces on the bottom. And that's to my advantage, because if I deal the cards out, say we were playing 5 hands, whilst it looks as if I would take the top card, what I'd actually be doing is sneaking the card from the bottom out. So every time I dealt myself a card, I take the bottom one, and that way I guarantee that I end up with the aces. Now, of course, I've slowed this right down so we can see exactly how I would end up with the aces. But this time I'm going to place the aces into the centre of the deck. And we're going to bury the aces all the way down into the centre of the deck. And now I use a very different technique to cheat, and I'm going to do this at full speed. First I'll give the cards a cut, and then I start to deal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th card every time to me. And of course I need to guarantee whilst I'm doing this that I end up with the winning hand, because that's how you win all the money. But I didn't deal myself the aces. You see, I only needed one of the aces to guarantee my hand, because here you'll see I have a royal flush in spades, the perfect hand when you play poker. This is the explanation for the Master Poker Deal. I've always loved poker deals, but a lot of them require very complicated setups. This achieves the same end purpose, but the setup is very, very simple. For the final display, I use the Royal Flush cards in spades. I think people perceive those as the strongest cards. And all I do is I keep the 10, the Jack, the Queen and the King of Spades on top of the deck. Okay, so they remain on top. And I have the 4 aces on the bottom. The important thing to remember is the Ace of Spades has to be the bottommost card. Okay, so that's the really important point here. I explain that magicians can cheat when they play cards, and often you'll be propositioned and say, well, can you cheat at cards? So this is a great routine to go into on the spur of the moment. I explain that the way I would cheat is to keep the aces at the bottom of the deck. At this point, the spectators are unaware of the stack at the top of the deck, okay? So I show them the aces at the bottom, and I explain that I'm going to reveal some of the techniques to cheat. And I go into a riffle shuffle, ensuring that I drop the 4 aces first, riffle off and just make sure that the royal flush cards at the top stay on top, okay? So we looked at this technique on another trick, but just to run through, you allow the aces to fall, you go through, and it looks very casual, and they think they're getting the insight into some major gambling trick or cheat. What that does is retain the aces on the bottom, and then you say, if we were playing a 5-handed game of poker, what I would do is deal the 4 hands out very fairly, and as I went to deal myself a card, instead of taking the top one, I'd actually sneak to the bottom and I'd take the bottom card. So I would reveal that again, I'll do that again, I'll deal through, and instead of taking the top one, I'm actually taking the bottom. Now you do this very fairly, very slowly, so that they understand that you're exposing the technique. That's an important point to remember. This is all about them thinking that you're exposing the hidden secrets of the gambling cheat. And of course, when you do this, you can explain that obviously that gives you the 4 aces, okay? So that's very important. Now, you say, I'm going to go one step further, because it's all very well to be able to deal from the bottom and do bottom dealing. This time I'm going to place the aces into the center of the deck. Now, because the ace of spades is the bottommost ace, as I put that in on top, and we had the original stack on top, the bottom card of each of these sections is now a royal flush card in spades. So that means if I put the ace stack on first, followed by the leftmost, actually you can pick these up in any order, it doesn't matter. What that does is make every 5th card from the top of the deck a royal flush in spades card. So now I can go into a false cut, which we've looked at before, again a very disarming technique, and I say, instead of pulling the cards from the bottom, I'm actually going to deal them to myself from the centre. They think you're going for the 4 aces. So you deal very quickly, very fairly, and you say, I'm not going to expose the technique, and they can burn your hands because you really are taking the cards from the top, 1 card at a time, and as you deal through, everything looks very fair till you've got 5 cards, and you explain, actually, I've kind of been tricking you all along, I didn't need the aces. In fact, not all of them, and you pick your cards up, turn them face up, spread them out, and you say, I only needed 1 because this gives me a perfect royal flush in spades, the best hand that wins the money every single time, the master poker deal. The last trick of Dr. Daly is an amazing routine. Learn it and use it to your advantage. It's one of the strongest routines that you can do with cards. One of my favourites, and I know it's going to become one of yours. 4 cards. 2 red kings, 2 black aces. Yeah. I'm going to mix the cards together. We're going to play a guessing game, you and I. If you were to guess the top card, would you say it's an ace or a king?
King.
It's actually an ace. Hold your hand out for me. I'm going to place the ace of spades onto your hand. You'll see the bottom card here is the ace of clubs. I'm going to place the ace of clubs onto your hand. We're going to take the aces very slowly, very fairly, just a tap of those 2 cards. You see, I now have the 2 aces. And if you have a look in your hand, you'll see you have the king of hearts, and right there is the king of diamonds. This is the explanation for the last trick of Dr. Daly. You'll notice for this handling, I have substituted the red aces for the red kings because I think it makes for a stronger contrast for the final show. You show the black aces and the red kings, and these cards can be examined. There's nothing to hide. You're going to place them face down in the left hand, and what you need to do is to get them in an alternating order. So they either run from ace, king, or king, ace. Now the way I do this is with a very simple shuffle. All I'm going to do is hold on to the top and bottom cards, pinch between the left thumb and second finger, pull out the 2 centre cards, and then run the cards singly from the top to the bottom a couple of times. That actually puts the cards into an alternating order. Now, as I make a gesture, I ask a spectator, with the top card, I just pull off a single card, I ask them whether they think it's an ace or a king. Now I'm setting myself up for a double lift. Double lift is to lift 2 cards from the top under the guise of just lifting 1, so they will think it's just a single card when in fact it's a double card. As I make the gesture, I just take a pinky break, underneath the top card. So the way that happens is as I push the cards, I'm actually pushing over all the cards. As I gesture with this card, I just pull the top card back flush and I hold a pinky break. This card now goes on top and I ask them, do they think it's an ace or a king? It doesn't matter what they say. Whichever they say, you do a double lift of the top card, you leave it out jogged so that you can push it back, and as you push it back, you retain the pinky break. So if they say a king, you say, absolutely right, hold out your hand for me. This is the King of Hearts. You place the King of Hearts, you turn the double face down, and it looks as if you place the king into their hand, but because of the double lift, you're actually placing an ace into their hand, okay? So the ace goes down there, they think it's a king. You now gesture and say, I have another king, it's on the bottom. And now you're going to do a double lift from the bottom, which is a very simple technique. The easiest way to teach this is to turn everything face down, pull over with the left thumb just the top card, and to lever the two remaining cards face up on top, and you can allow them to fall on top. So you say, we have another king, this is the King of Diamonds. I'm going to take the King of Diamonds, and you're going to turn the double face down. Again, very easy because you only have 3 cards. You're going to push over with the left thumb, turn the King of Diamonds face down, place it into either their other hand or another spectator's hand. So you've got the King of Hearts and the King of Diamonds. Watch, I'm going to do something very magical. You make a gesture, you tap their hands, and as you come like this, you turn these cards over to show you now have the kings. They will be absolutely astounded. They can turn the cards over in their hands and they will find they are holding the aces. Try this out. It's a very simple routine to do. Making a double lift from a 4-card packet is very, very easy. Make it look natural. What I would suggest is you practice turning over a single card and then you try with the double card, trying to duplicate the action. You're not turning over a manhole cover, you're turning over a piece of cardboard. So make it look very natural, and this is a routine which packs small, plays big. One of my favourites. I know it's going to be one of yours. Well, thanks very much for joining me on this DVD. It's been a pleasure to share some of the world's greatest easy to do card miracles. Try the material out, practice the presentations, and you'll realise the reactions you get from this material will be some of the strongest reactions you will ever get when you perform magic professionally or semi-professionally, or just for fun, just for your friends. Thank you very much, and goodbye.